All right, so you want to know the average cost of rent in Charlotte, North Carolina?
Sounds like a pretty common question these days.
Yeah, especially in a growing city like Charlotte.
Definitely.
So, we always want to give our listeners the best information, the most direct route to kind of satisfying that curiosity.
Absolutely.
And you were kind enough to point us right to the source,
You did.
apartmentneighborhoods.com.
What's really interesting is that the link itself, average cost of rent in Charlotte, https://apartmentneighborhoods.com.
It's like you went right for the jugular.
Yeah, you knew what you wanted.
No beating around the bush.
I like it.
So let's talk about that a little bit. What are your first impressions? Just seeing that bare bones kind of question and then the link to the site.
Well, what strikes me first is that the source itself is the website that we'd probably use to find the answer anyway.
Right.
So it's not like, we're looking at somebody else's analysis of average rent in Charlotte.
Right.
It is the tool itself. It's kind of fascinating because apartmentneighborhoods.com, is specifically designed to aggregate this kind of data.
Right.
So it's a very logical first stop in your research.
Yeah, makes total sense.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that, these sites will typically feature sort of an overview page for the city, and that's where you'll often find this average rent figure.
Right up front.
Like right at the top.
A media ballpark.
Yeah, it gives you that like, oh, okay, I got a sense of, $2,000 or whatever it might be.
Exactly.
So while we don't have a specific number to share in this moment,
right.
The insight here is that this is like your resource.
Yeah.
This is where you go.
Yeah, you're going straight to the people that are compiling this rental data.
And what's valuable about a platform like that is the ability to drill down.
Oh, absolutely.
Because while that overall average is helpful, you can usually then kind of refine your search based on what you're actually looking for. Are you interested in a studio? Are you interested in a 3-bedroom?
Location.
Location, which neighborhood? Because Charlotte's a big city.
Big city.
Covers a lot of ground. So, that average across the entire city could be very misleading if you've already got your eye on a particular neighborhood.
Absolutely.
That's known for being maybe more expensive or less expensive or whatever.
Yeah. And, you can actually see that reflected in the way that they structure these websites.
Yeah.
You can filter down by all those criteria.
It allows for that much more kind of tailored understanding of the market.
Absolutely. And this kind of, ties into the bigger picture, too, of how a lot of people are starting their rental search these days.
Right.
They're going to these online aggregators to try to get a sense of the market.
Makes perfect sense.
Before they actually, start diving into individual listings or contacting realtors or things like that.
Sure. So to our listener, the takeaway here is that apartmentneighborhoods.com is a very targeted resource for answering this very question.
Very specific, yeah.
It's built for this.
It is, yeah.
And it's like your direct line to the data that you need to start understanding Charlotte rental costs.
And, this raises another interesting point, too, which is whenever you see an average, it's always worth considering what goes into that average.
Right. What are they averaging?
Are they factoring in all types of properties, luxury high-rises?
Sure.
More modest apartments?
Little studios.
Little studios, exactly. So exploring the website might give you a little bit more insight into how they calculate those averages.
Right. And again, remember, the average is just a starting point.
Yeah, that's the key.
The actual rent you're going to pay
Totally.
for a given place is going to depend on a lot of different factors.
It will.
Square footage, amenities.
The specific location within Charlotte?
Yeah, exactly.
So many variables.
So just keep in mind, it's directional.
Absolutely.
So the core message here is apartmentneighborhoods.com will answer your question.
It will.
Although it requires you to visit the site to get that specific average.
It does.
And I think it's a great example of how readily available these online resources are that can really kickstart your research.
Absolutely.
So our recommendation is to hop on over to apartmentneighborhoods.com.
Check it out.
Poke around, see what kind of average rental cost info they've got.
See how those averages might change based on different criteria.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Play with the filters.
Absolutely.
And ultimately think about how that information aligns with your own specific needs and what you're looking for in a place to live.
Because at the end of the day, the average is a useful benchmark.
Yeah.
But your personal requirements are what really matter.
Absolutely. Understanding the landscape is the first step.
That first step.
But then the real clarity comes from investigating the details and seeing how they fit your individual circumstances.
That's the real deep dive.
Yeah, so we hope this deep dive has given you a focused direction for your Charlotte rental research.
And a great place to start.
And now it's over to you to explore those details.
Happy hunting.
Thanks for joining us,
Yeah, this is fun.
and we'll see you next time
See ya.
on the deep dive.
Bye.